In Palestine, Israeli troops continue their genocidal aggression against Gaza, committing 3 major massacres in the last 24 hours. In Iran, the 6 candidates for the country's presidency held a third televised debate ahead of early elections on June 28th. And in China, heavy rains caused flooding, overflowing rivers and submerged streets in the southeast of the nation. Hello, welcome from the south. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSur studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Over the last 24 hours, Israeli forces have committed 3 major massacres against the civilian population in the Gaza Strip. Local health authorities say 101 Palestinians were killed in several attacks, while another 169 have been injured. By now, 260 days passed since the start of the war. 37,551 people have been killed by Israel, mostly women and children, while 35,000 have been wounded. Ambulances and rescue teams are still unable to reach some 10,000 victims trapped on the rubble or scattered on the roads of the devastated strip. 8 months since the start of Israel's genocidal war, fighter jets have carried out a series of attacks on 4 apartments in the center of the Al-Shati refugee camp, west of the strip. Also, occupation forces invaded and shelled the Al-Zaytun neighborhood, southeast of Gaza, resulting in the death of 2 Palestinian youngsters. Ambulances and rescue teams are still searching for victims trapped under the rubble. 4 Palestinian civilians, including 2 children, were killed in an aerial missile strike targeting a residential house in the Suhaya neighborhood in eastern Gaza City. Simultaneously, occupation forces demolished and destroyed several residences in an invasion operation in Rafah. Since October 7th, Israel has killed over 37,551 people and wounded another 85,911, mostly women and children. The Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip is preventing some 89,000 Palestinian students from taking exams for the 2024 school year. After 260 days of constant Israeli attacks against the Gaza Strip, 39,000 students find themselves unable to take their exams due to forced displacement and destruction of schools. The Ministry of Education in Gaza reports that at least 430 high school students have died since the start of the conflict on October 7, 2023. The United Nations Public Works and Relief Agency says that 76% of schools in Gaza need either construction or rehabilitation before reopening. In other news, in Iran, the 6 candidates for the country's presidency held a third televised debate on Friday ahead of early elections on June 28th of the death of President Ibrahim Raisi. The candidates for the Islamic Republic's 14th presidential election participated in the third of 5 debates, called to answer questions and explain their government programs. Friday's meeting was focused on cultural and social issues. According to the latest polls, candidate Saeed Halili, who previously served as head of the country's security agency, expected to win 22.5% of the vote. Behind him will be lawmakers Mohammad Kalibaf with 19.5% and Masoud Pezeshkian with 19.4% of the popular support. The leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, spoke after the third televised debate between presidential candidates, praising the way the debate had been conducted. He also recalled that these activities allow citizens to get to know those who hope to become the country's presidential candidates. The United Nations is warning about an alarming humanitarian situation in Afghanistan with the spread of poverty. UN Special Representative for Afghanistan, Rosa Otunbayeva, said Afghans are facing high rates of poverty, with women being the most affected for many of the measures implemented by the de facto Taliban authority, impact their income and therefore family finances. Moreover, the Afghan population is also suffering the impact of climate change. The UN official insisted on the need to coordinate international efforts to increase support for Afghanistan. Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSur English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. The story coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, was welcomed by the people of the state of Monagas in a great mobilization that supported his government and rejected the unilateral sanctions of the United States. The citizens reaffirmed their support to the head of state, who thanked them for their unconditional solidarity in the defense against the constant attacks by the Venezuelan extreme right wing and the United States. The national executive called on the people to vote in the upcoming elections in order to defeat the Venezuelan far right and its allies. He also denounced that the far right wing did not sign the agreement since they seek to attempt a coup d'etat, bringing once again violence to the country.
Is that legal? Not to attend to a citation of the arbitrator. Not to attend to a dictate of the arbitrator. Then, why did they register for the elections? What for? They signed up to try to mess up the country, to hurt Venezuela again. And they believe they will try a coup d'etat at any moment. I have proof. I know what I'm saying.
The president expressed that if the United States wants oil, it will have to pay for it at international prices, assuring that Venezuela will not give away its oil to any country, least of all to imperialism.
Each one has to decide. You want a weak and manipulable president. Make up your mind. You want a president puppet of the surname and the oligarchy. You want a president who gives the oil to the gringos for free. If the gringos want oil, welcome. 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 But they must pay bill upon bill at the international price.
Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador praised the appointments of new cabinet members made Thursday by President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum.
I have to say that the appointments that were made yesterday are very good. The president-elect knew how to choose well the positions public officials, men and women, who guaranteed the continuity with the change. All of them are very good. All those she appointed are very good. They have experience, and Marcel Ebrard has a lot of experience.
On the other hand, the Mexican head of state highlighted Marcelo Ebrard's work as Secretary of Foreign Affairs to preserve the nation's political and economic relations.
On instructions from the president-elect to be in charge of maintaining the economic and commercial policies with the United States government, which is very important. As Secretary of Foreign Affairs, he was in charge of the rapprochement with the U.S. government to sign the new trade agreement which was very favorable for Mexico. That is why foreign investment has grown like never before in the country. With record figures for last year and what is projected for this year. So Marcelo is the best.
Well, in El Salvador, the death toll following heavy rains last night has risen to 19. Civil protection authorities have reported some 1,500 incidents and the evacuation of over 2,500 people 150 shelters have been set up to tend to over 6,000 people nationwide, including 1,212 minors. Civil protection officials have issued a red alert, and the country's Congress has declared a 15-day state of emergency. According to forecasts, more rain expected in the coming days, which might cause severe damage to infrastructure and power outages. In China, heavy rains caused flooding, overflowing rivers, and submerged streets in the southeast of the nation. Continuous rainfall caused water levels to rise in the Xinjiang River in southern China, causing flooding in the city of Wuzhou. Local authorities reported at least 1,800 people were evacuated, while another 47 people lost their lives in Guangdong province. In addition, 100 villages, plantations, and roads connecting rural areas have been damaged. Facing the onslaught of nature, the municipal authorities have redoubled their efforts with measures such as the involvement of the Maritime Affairs Department, the Red Cross, and volunteer groups. Rescue teams have been using boats in the flooded area, searching for trapped people and moving them in groups to safety. In southeastern Switzerland, 3 people are missing after a landslide caused by heavy rains. One woman was rescued alive in the Mesoko Valley, while rescue efforts continue for other 3 missing. Search teams are deploying in the canton of Grisons to find people who are missing due to the rains. In the last few hours, rescuers found alive a woman who had been buried after a landslide in the Mesoko Alpine Valley. Also, the commune of Zermatt is cut off after rains and snow melt caused the Mater-Vispa River to overflow. Authorities appealed to residents to avoid low-lying areas and to stay away from the water tributaries. Citizens are also asked not to film or photograph the floods for safety reasons. We have a fun short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSur. Fun short break, don't go away. Welcome back. On Saturday, Russian President Vladimir Putin paid tribute to the soldiers who fell during the patriotic war that sought the surrender of the genocidal forces of Nazi Germany. The Russian president laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier near the Kremlin Wall in Moscow to commemorate the Soviet struggle during the Second World War. Afterwards, the head of state kept a minute of silence in front of the monument that remembers, with an eternal flame, the martyrs fallen in the military conflicts that took place from 1939 to 1945. Russia, then the Soviet Union, lost over 27 million people. In Kazakhstan, authorities evacuated 8 people after a fire broke out in a residential building in the capital city of Astana. The Ministry of Emergency Situations and Astana Fire Brigade reported the successful evacuation of 8 citizens. Authorities determined that the fire originated in the outer cladding of the 26th floor of the building, which houses an administrative complex. According to a statement, the authorities set up an operations center near the incident scenes, while some 16 rescue teams continued to rescue civilians. In Italy, the death toll from a shipwreck off the coast of Calabria on Sunday, June 16th, rose to 35, while the search for 25 missing people continues. A spokesman for the Coast Guard Service stated Saturday on the website of the newspaper Il Quotidiano del Sud that as a result of the rescue work involving mainly the Dattilo and Corsi vessels of that service, 34 bodies were recovered from the waters of the Ionian Sea. According to the Coast Guard Service, the figure increased after one of the 12 migrants rescued earlier lost his life due to injuries sustained during the accident. According to the United Nations, this accident, which occurred some 120 nautical miles east of the coast of Calabria and municipality of Rossella Ionica, brings to more than 800 the number of deaths so far in 2024 in the waters of the Mediterranean Sea. In Nigeria, United Nations agencies are stepping up response to the cholera outbreak. The United Nations Children's Fund, the World Health Organization, and the International Organization for Migration are working together to provide information and educate people in view of the 300 reported cases of cholera in Nigeria. UNICEF said the cholera outbreak has hit people who already had health issues. The UN organization is urging people to raise their level of awareness about the danger of the disease and about the need for preventive measures to tackle its spread. Caracas is the venue of a cultural and political meeting of countries from Latin America, Caribbean, and Africa, united by the drums, heritage of struggles, and identity of the different peoples. From Caracas, our correspondent Leonel Hurtamal has the details.
For this representative of Barbados, drums are a language that allows communication and a return to the roots between Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. It's an image that sums up the power of the beating of the highs at the depth of what it means to the Afro people.
When the British in Barbados realized that we could communicate with each other through language, through the drums, they banned the drums for the duration of slavery. So it had a great effect on the African people, not only in terms of enjoying themselves culturally and musically through their drums, but psychologically it had a great effect on them.
In Latin America, the drums are crossed by religious traditions, which were unified and amalgamated to generate a known identity of the people, not submissive but religious.
The diverse religiosity of the Caribbean, also in that richness, in that complexity, is also a form of resistance against invasion, against transculturalization, against what is a form of domination in this 21st century. Religiosity is political, inasmuch as it continues to be an instrument for the liberation of peoples.
The Drums of the Alba is a meeting organized by the Bolivarian Alliance for the People of our Americas to strengthen ties through culture. All members attend along with guests from Central America and Africa.
This type of meeting allows us to remember that colonization, colonial domination, is not the past, but the present. It is the present for many peoples in Africa, in South America, even here in Venezuela, where we have known for many years that imperialist and colonial, neo-colonial attacks have intensified.
Along with the forums and debates, there are musical exhibitions open to the public, where different groups from Bolivia to Benin parade. Venezuela, as the owner of the house, shows off the different drums that each region has.
I think the sound is almost the same thing. I think we have the base of our ancestors. Our Africanness is unique, here and everywhere. The sound of the drums always represents us, the Afros.
Until Sunday 23rd, they will be exhibiting the culture of each town, and the drums of the people will resound.
Leonel Hurtamal y José Rondón, TeleSur, Caracas, Venezuela.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.